It's great to be here again and to, share my knowledge with everybody around health and wellness. So everybody is really, really welcome to the next 30 minutes or so. And I'm hoping that you just gain some hints and tips of how to change things with your health and wellness. I will use the chat box. I like to keep it a little bit interactive as well. And I just want to make sure that you have a piece of paper and a pen, because we're going to do a little quiz just to check your health score, which can be quite interesting. So a little bit of background about me. So my business is the Queen of Health, and I became the Queen of Health through my own health. And my own journey of weight loss, underactive thyroid, infertility issues. And I decided to take my own health into my own hands, because I knew from research and study that the body can heal itself if it's given the right conditions. Sometimes we get to a stage in life where we have those aches and pains and niggles, and we think it's part of getting older or it's our lifestyle. But generally, there's a lot of things that the body will start to shout out and scream. And that's what happened to me. But I wasn't listening. I thought I was being healthy and changing one or two things. It wasn't until I started to put the pieces of the jigsaw together of mind, body, and movement that things started to connect. And that's what I want to share with you today, is some of those hints and tips that can make huge changes to your overall health and wellness. Some of them may be too far out there for you to start today. There may be the small changes, and I'll challenge each and every one of you to take one thing away from today to start and to make a change. So I'm just going to take my video off for now so you can concentrate on the slides, and we will get started to eat for peak performance. And what I'll ask in the chat box, just a Y or an N for yes or no. Do you think at the moment that you're not quite firing on all cylinders? Or is your energy a little bit less than it used to be? And maybe that's why you're here today. So there's a lot of yeses coming in. So thank you guys. Brilliant. Good to see. So yes, we have a bit of work to do, and I'm really looking forward to sharing these hints and tips with you. So as I said, sit back, relax, and let us get to work. Don't relax too much, because I want you to be a little bit interactive with me, so we can get the most from today's session. So the first question, and in the chat box again, yes or no, do you answer to, are you busy at the moment, working long hours, stressed, under pressure? So does any one of those resonate with you at the moment? Feeling, and I have there 3 yeses for one person. So yeah, there's a lot of stress. There's a lot of people feeling under pressure. And even, people will say to me, oh, Nichola, you're the Queen of Health. You must have it all together. You must have it all sorted. But if you remember, I said there's 3 parts of that jigsaw piece. And from time to time, even with me, the mind, body, or movement, there's certain parts of the jigsaw can become dismantled. And yes, I have felt stressed. I have felt under pressure, especially over the last 14 months. Of what we've been through. So it's pretty normal, guys. And what I'll always say is, no matter what, if there's stress, if there's anxiety, please connect to that emotion. It's an emotion. We don't like that feeling of anxiousness or stress or nervousness, but it's sometimes just to sit down. And this is something that I've started to do over the last 14 months, is sit down and realize, yes, you are there. It is an emotion. It will pass, but you're almost just saying hello to it. Hi, yes, you're there. And now you can go. But sometimes what we do is we suppress these emotions. And what happens is then these emotions are very clever, because they'll just go into the system and they may surface their head somewhere else along the line, and they may come back double whammy. So just connect. That's the first thing that I'll say with you, is just connect with that emotion. Maybe it's the stress, it's feeling under pressure. It's just to connect with that. Another question then. So have you started to experience some of the health niggles of life? You know, we think, oh, this is life catching up on me now. I'm feeling fatigued, headaches, weight gain, digestive problems, stress, or anxiety. So can anybody relate to any of those? If you want to share what they are, you are more than welcome in the chat box to put them in. Thank you for there. Yes, somebody has mentioned, yes, all of those is what's happening out there. Weight gain is another one. Another person, yes, all of them. Was fatigued and found out I was anemic. Yes, and I'm going to talk about fatigue and, you know, that feeling of burnt out. And burnout is really, really prevalent at the moment. When we get there, sometimes it's too late because we've had the warning signs of maybe the headaches, maybe the digestive issues. And it's like the body reaching out to say, please just help me and support. And suddenly, if we're not looking after our nutrition, if we're not looking after our mindset and our well-being and our exercise, we can become really, really fatigued, burnt out, which is mental and physical exhaustion. And when we get there, and a lot of us have been there over the last 14 months, it's very hard to pick yourself back up. I know from burnout, it can take up to 2 months for my clients to get themselves from that burnt out that you're on the floor, dragging yourself through day to day, reaching for the caffeine. And it can take 2 months of really looking after yourself. And as I always say at my talks, it's putting back on your own oxygen mask first. We have a tendency to look after everybody else. It's in all of our nature is, okay, who can I look after today? Especially, you know, in the role of whatever you work at or family and friends, we always put ourselves out there. But for today, I say to you, think about putting your own oxygen mask on with some of these hints and tips that you can move forward and look after your own health and wellness before you hit that burnout stage. And like what I have here, it's a boom. It suddenly hits us. It's like the perfect storm where there's lack of time meets poor food choices. And then this collides with a shortage of sleep and then too much stress. So it's like that time bomb that's going off inside of us. And someone has asked, will the talk be recorded? Yes, it is being recorded. So don't worry, don't panic. So we've got the burnout, and we don't want you guys to get there with burnout because, as I said, it takes a long time to get yourself back up and out. So food and lifestyle changes are the game changer, and you need to rediscover your power. And I want to show you now how to get that edge, maybe that you've lost. In the chat box, just let me know, do you have that understanding, that feeling of what it's like to have energy, to feel at the top of your game, to take off the sunglasses, the brain fog is gone, and just to feel on form? Do you know what that feels like? Have you been there before? Yes or no? Be interesting just to see. Okay, so yeah, a long time ago, some people are saying yes. Okay, yeah, okay. I can't remember what energized feels like. Okay, guys, I'm connecting with you now. I feel what you're feeling. Yes, before kids, I've had 5 years of not sleeping properly. So yes, I can connect with that as well. So I even think when I see it with my clients too, it's that people know what it feels like to feel alive, to feel amazing. But with everything that we've been through, no proper holidays, no proper social events, that connection, that motivation, that getting us to the next part of the year is gone. So that feeling is going to take longer to come back. So I've really kept this simple today so that you can connect back with your inner self and start small as opposed to making a huge, huge change. As well, everything that I speak about today, the guys are going to send you a link with an ebook with everything summarized in the ebook, and there will be a link to a program, a 5-day free detox challenge that I'm going to be starting actually on Thursday this week for 5 days with a full meal plan, just to get people back in the game, focused. And the reason I'm doing it on a Thursday as opposed to a Monday is that most people wake up on a Monday morning and go, okay, what will I try? What's new this week? So don't worry, I've got you covered from all angles. So it's easy to think there's nothing really wrong. And what we start to do is we start to put plasters on these pains or aches or whatever, or these emotions, and we just push them back down. And regardless, then we have the annoying health symptoms that will start to come along and get bigger and bigger and keep knocking on our door to say, you know, you've done enough, you need to look after me now. So things could be so much better. The first step is to get present. So as I said, connect and see how many of these symptoms you're experiencing and how regularly they're coming into your life and what degree your health is under pressure. Okay, so it's time for your pen and piece of paper. And I'm going to ask some questions. I'm going to talk around these questions and give you some explanation to do it. And then I'm going to show you where you need to get to. And there's a question that's just come in there. How long does it take to get energized again? So when you know, if you take these kind of hints and tips from today, it can take up to 2 weeks. And it's cleaning up the diet, it's working on the mind. It's a lot of a longer program, sometimes up to 4 weeks for some people. And then people may need nutritional supplements as well. But generally, when we start to look at our food, look at, you know, getting out into the fresh air, getting vitamin D, that can, you know, it can start within 7 days and move towards up to a 30-day. So, you know, don't worry, it will come back when you put the plan in place. Okay, so the questions. 1 means no, and 5 means all the time, and you can be anywhere in between. So if I was to ask the question at this present moment in time, would you be tired most of the time? 1 is no, 5 is yes. Would you class yourself as overweight? 1 is no, 5 is yes. For all my women in the audience, would you say that you're prone to hormonal symptoms? It can be anything from PMS to menopause to moodiness. Maybe you don't have a regular menstrual cycle. So 5 is yes, 1 is no. If I have any men in the audience, 1 is no for you. Suffering from dark circles or bags under your eyes. So do you wake up in the morning and go, oh my goodness, where have these circles, these suitcases under my eyes come from? 1 is no, 5 is yes. Poor memory or concentration. So that fogginess in the brain, the recall, it's like you're wearing sunglasses. You want to take them off and see brightness, less brain fog. 5 is yes, that's me. I've got brain fog. 1 is no. Do you often feel anxious or stressed? 1 is no, 5 is yes. Now, when we look at your overall health of your skin, the whole body, is it very dry and needs daily moisturizers? 1 is no, 5 is yes. This is really important, and it's one question I'll ask all of my clients, regardless of what journey they're about to embark on. Your bowel movements. So you need to go every single day to mark yourself a 1 on this chart. If you only go every 2nd day, every 3rd day, it's a 5, okay? I need your bowels to move every single day. Difficulty sleeping, 1 is no, 5 is yes. Do you feel low or depressed at the moment? 1 is no, 5 is yes. And prone to indigestion or bloating after food, 1 is no, 5 is yes. I'll let you guys add them up. If you want, you can pop your total number in the chat box, totally up to you. And then I'm going to give you the hints and tips and show you where you need to get to. So when you're ready and you've counted them up, you can let me know in the chat box finished, or you can pop your number in there. Totally up to you, but just so I know people have added up. Okay, guys, thank you for being so open and sharing those with me. And don't be alarmed. The ideal score is for 15 or less. And anybody that takes this with me at the start is always late 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s. And that's why you're here. Everybody, you know, everybody I meet or encounter, I meet them for a reason. And today you're about to embark on taking some health tip to help you to get this score and start to improve on it. Okay, so guys, that was amazing. Thank you. So let us see now, how do we get you from your score to a 15? So this is basically that, you know, from that and those scores, it's the low energy, as we spoke about, the cravings, the mid-afternoon slump, the poor sleep, and there's so much more, which leads to too much caffeine. And don't get me wrong, caffeine serves its purpose. It is good, but in the right amounts. So let's take action. So we need to be clear on the most pressing issues and take action on one area of your health. So are you ready, guys? Yes or no? Are you ready for some hints and tips? Okay, so here we go. Everybody is on board. Let's get started. So as I show you my hints and tips, you may choose to work on improving what you eat. It's generally what people go to. Okay, that seems to be the easiest, but don't restrict yourself. Don't go, okay, I'm going to give up coffee. I'm going to give up alcohol, because then it's a restrictive fad diet. I coach my clients to change their lifestyle, to put in small win-wins each week that they can say, okay, this is part of my lifestyle now. This is not a diet. I'm educating myself and I'm taking it slow, because we're all in it for all or nothing. And then if we go 4 weeks and suddenly we have a glass of wine, which we said we weren't going to have, or a piece of chocolate, then it's a fail, and we give up and we feel bad about ourselves. So it's not about that, okay? But you may decide after today to start looking at other areas like meal planning, looking at sleep, reducing stress. And one of the things with stress is that when we go into a stress mode, we release cortisol, a hormone cortisol. Both men and women have this hormone cortisol. Hormones are not just about our, reproductive or our sex hormones. There's so many hormones within the body that affect so many different things, even like thyroid functioning and, as I said, stress levels. But if you are pretty stressed at the moment, it is more than likely that you are depleted in your B vitamins. And B vitamins, it's great to get a complex of the Bs. Have a little trip to your local pharmacy or your health store and have a chat with the salesperson there about B vitamins if you're feeling stressed, and get a good quality brand. I always like to invest in my vitamins. I don't like to take too many. If I'm taking a multi of B, I like to take that first and see that it works for me. And then I can kind of go, okay, yeah, I did see an improvement in that. And I'd always invest €20 plus in my vitamins, and looking at the ingredients to make sure that there's no fillers or additives in there. You want really clean nutrients going in for your B vitamins, because the B vitamins, they just do so much. They help you break down your fats, your proteins, your carbohydrates, and they are the energy source. And that's why they break down all the energy within the foods that we eat. And if we are stressed and we don't have them, the food that you're eating, you're not absorbing properly. So that's why you're depleted. And maybe that's a starting point for those people with low energy. But do have a chat to the pharmacist or the healthcare professional to see which is the right one for you. So the tip number one then is to eat to balance your energy levels. They're going to give you 3 simple rules. And if you can input these in, because I take it that with your health scores there, that your energy levels are obviously on the floor, but also your blood sugars maybe a little bit out of kilter as well. So a diet that balances the blood sugars is the best way. So if you're thinking about every day, it's a sandwich, and maybe you're at your desk, it's the wrong type. I want you to think outside the sandwich. I want you to think of a plate that's half vegetables or salad, half or quarter is your protein source. So it can be your eggs, chicken, fish, tofu, lentils. And the other quarter of a plate is 1 slice of bread, some rice, some pasta, but it's only a quarter of a plate. So think outside the sandwich. Because what you want to do is the carbohydrate that you're eating is fueling your body for energy. So if you're eating the wrong types of carbohydrate, there's too much fuel going in. And if you're sedentary or you're not moving 30 minutes every single day for that little bit of carbohydrate that you're using, it's getting stored in the liver. And if I say, for instance, have a nice big pizza for lunch today, and I sit back down at my desk and I'm not moving, the body's going, okay, we've got all this excess energy and sugar. What can I do with it? So the liver takes it because it's not being used. And then tomorrow you don't move. You have loads of simple carbohydrates, not the good carbohydrates, and it pushes it into the liver again. The liver goes, guys, I can't do this. I'm overburdened, and it pushes it out into the fat cells. And that's where weight gain happens. So you have to be really conscious of the carbohydrates that you're eating, good quality complex carbohydrates, because they're your energy source and we do need them. but only a small portion, a quarter of your plate. So do eat regularly. I say to people, just to get your health back in track and your blood sugars balanced, is to eat every 3 hours. It's not the norm for everybody, but just until we get you those numbers down, start your breakfast if it's at 9 o'clock, then have your lunch at 12, half 12. So 3 to 3.5 hour window. Then have a mid-afternoon snack at 3 o'clock, having your dinner, and you may have an evening snack. Most importantly, you need to fast a 12-hour window to let that digestive system relax and take all that nutrient. So if I stop eating at 8 o'clock at night time, I generally don't have my breakfast till 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock the next morning. It's a 12-hour fast that we should naturally do anyway. Always have protein at every single meal, including breakfast, including snacks. If you're having an apple or an orange or berries, the low glycemic fruits, okay, these won't rocket your blood sugars too much, but you need to put protein with them. So never having a piece of fruit on its own. Think of fruit and protein. So if I'm having an apple, I'll have some peanut butter or some nuts with it. And I'll kind of think of that combo. And then, as I said to you, be selective about the amount and type of carbohydrates that you're having as well, because they're so important. And especially if you get that 3 o'clock slump, you need to make sure then that at lunchtime, it's a complex carbohydrate that's not going to rocket your blood sugars to make you crash. So start to maybe do a food diary and to check what you're actually eating for lunchtime. So a good question that's come through is, what examples of good carbohydrates versus simple carbohydrates? So your good carbohydrates are your brown rice and pasta, whole grain, wholemeal breads. Oats would be another complex carbohydrates. Oat cakes will be another one as well. Your simple carbohydrates would be anything that's white bread, white pasta, and obviously then the sugary treats like donuts, cakes, all those added sugars in there. Any good brands of vitamin brands? So there are a couple of good brands that are out there. There's a fantastic Irish brand called Revive Active, an amazing brand. There's another brand, Swedish Nutra is another good brand, and Solgard. They're just the top 3 that I can think of that I recommend to my clients. So yeah, but there's plenty out there. I don't want to be biased against any of them, but Revive Active, again, because it's Irish, they've been around for at least 10 years now. They're a Galway-based company, and they've one that I can actually stand over because I've tested myself when my energy levels were down. It's called Zest Active, and I think it's €30 maybe, and it's a sachet that you put into your water and you drink. And I actually am reminding myself I need to get it myself because it is really good. So that's the Irish brand. The quick win around your food. So swap your usual tuna mayo sandwich and crisps for a soup and protein based salad, or at least have that wrap or an open sandwich. So just again, think outside getting too much bread in. If you're out and about and you are, getting into the high street, there's plenty of options out there, and aim to find 3 to 4 things that you enjoy. Okay, so the next one then we are going to do is our caffeine. So reduce caffeine. I don't say give it up, I just say reduce the caffeine. So there's nothing wrong, as I said at the start, with caffeine. It was my go-to on my journey through after I had my little girl and trying to keep myself going. So I can relate to it, but I also like the taste of it now, and I just think there are benefits to it. But you have to remember that it is found in colas and chocolate and energy drinks too. And although it may promise instant energy, it just makes the energy problem worse, because the more caffeine that we consume, the more the body and brain become insensitive to their own natural stimulants such as adrenaline and dopamine. And then we need more stimulants to feel normal. We're pushing the body to produce more adrenaline and dopamine. So this can lead to adrenal exhaustion. Caffeine has a huge impact on our sleep as well. The half of, caffeine. So basically think of 5 hours before you go to bed is when you should stop drinking your caffeine. And the quick wins here, Limit yourself to 2 cups a day and enjoy these before lunch. Give your body time to get rid of the caffeine in your system. Actually, last night, I have to say, I do love a cup of tea before I go to bed. It's just a habit. And last night, I just said, you know what, I'm not, because it just wakes me up during the night to go to the toilet, or I just don't have a good sleep. And I just made myself a nice, fresh, cold pressed juice last night. And I had the best sleep, more relaxed. So it does work to get rid of the caffeine before bedtime. And you could have a decaf version of tea too. And I just have here as well, I found this on one of the Instagram feeds, of the difference as well when we have coffees. The calories can build up too. Like a normal Americano with just a bit of milk is 45 calories versus a flat white can have up to 290 calories. So it's nearly a meal in there as well. So I just see a chat coming through. Do we need to cut sugar and desserts completely, including from tea? So sugar, we are all addicted. So it's a great question. And we're all addicted to sugar in some form or other. And generally, when we go on a health kick, we'll say, okay, I'm going to eat fruit now. And we'll, sugar bomb our systems with the sugar in fruit. What I recommend to my clients, if you've got sugar and it's gone into coffee and tea, there's a product called Xylitol. I'm just going to pop it into the chat box here. It's XYTIO. Oh, hold on there. XYTIOL. This is a product that diabetics can use because it's so low in glycemic load. It's from a tree bark of a tree. And it actually tastes like sugar and looks like sugar. So I would replace things like that and start small with your sugar, and then start to look at the sugary snacks and treats that you're having and the sugar content that's in food. So look, you don't have to cut it out completely. We need our treats, but not every day, and maybe keeping those treats to the weekend. And underactive thyroid on medication, yeah, I would advise, I've suffered with underactive thyroid as well in the past. I found myself tidying up my diet supported my thyroid. But definitely, if you're on medication and you're still very tired, I would always, if that was one of my clients, I would suggest just popping back to the doctor just to check and see if the strength is the right dose at the moment. But definitely, by tidying up a few things in your diet can help too. Water is a huge thing that we just completely miss. If you think of your body as an engine, 60% of our engines are made of water, and we need to fuel that every single day. But we fuel with coffee and caffeinated fizzy drinks, and we forget about the water. But when we go in with water, it gives us that energy and focus. And those people that have brain fog, the water will be the first step. And I would say a quick win from today's session is, as you go down the stairs in the morning and you're getting ready for whatever you're going to do and you're switching on the kettle or the coffee machine, have a glass of water first of all before you have your caffeine. So hydrate before you caffeinate is what I always tell my clients, and it has a huge impact on the overall kickstart to the body. If you want to go hardcore and pimp up your water, you can put your lemon and ginger and spices in there, but just room temperature water is fine to kickstart the metabolism in the morning and just to hydrate your body. And are you actually drinking enough water? So obviously, I would always say to my clients too, the 2 liters. It depends on people's height and weight, so, but just we generally say 2 liters. But when we're looking at our urine, when we go to the toilet, that, you know, a light yellow, we should really be clear to very pale yellow if we're drinking enough water. Light yellow is okay. When it comes pale honey is borderline, and you need to start drinking your water there and then. A yellow, more cloudy color means that you need to drink right now, and a darker yellow is not healthy and indicates dehydration. Orange yellow is something you don't want to see, and it means that you're severely hydrated. So again, the body can tell us different things about us. Like bowel movements tells us about our inner health as well. I always remember going to the doctor as a child and he'd looking at your tongue. Goes back to Chinese medicine, where they look at the tongue to see what's going on inside the body. It's like in my clinic, there's a lady there that does iridology with the eyes. So as they say, the eyes are the window of your soul, but they're really the windows of your body, and they can tell so much about us too. But it's just these things that we take for granted. And there's loads of apps. I've actually downloaded an app on my phone, and they're all free, and it pings up every hour to tell me it's time to drink water. So it's a great little app to have. And then you can buy yourself BPA free bottles that are reusable, and just make sure that you clean them out weekly. I like to use maybe just a mild Milton formula just to sterilize them, to make sure, because bacteria can harbor in the reusable bottles. So get out and away from your desk. So this is, it sounds an easy one. Even myself, with all the knowledge that I have, I get sometimes just bogged down, especially working from home. And it's like, sure, I'll 30 minutes and I'll just stay at my desk. Sure, I'll have my lunch and I'll go through emails. But it really does affect you, and it affects your mood and your energy. So one of the most important things that you can do is just to take a full lunch break. Because even after today, now, when I finish this talk, I'm going to get up, I'm going to get the tracksuit on, and I'm going to get out for 30 minutes. And I'll the negative ego will jump into me and say all the reasons why I shouldn't get up and go, but we just have to push ourselves to take that little bit of get up and go. Because when we look at getting outside, the flip side is if we don't take that lunch break, we feel more tired, more stressed, and then the focus is just worse for wear. And eating, I've done it myself, eating while we continue to check the emails, it can lead to mindless eating. And when you're in that form of mindless eating, you're not switching off your ghrelin hormone, the hunger hormone in the body. So getting away from the desk makes us more present to eating. And it's a bad habit over the last 14 months that people have got into, and we really need to retrain ourselves to get away from the workplace, sit down somewhere where we can just switch off and be completely in the moment. And another side effect is that we can snack later on in the day, particularly on those sugary snacks. So in short, eating at your desk directly against, it goes against the science of eating for peak performance. If you actually take your lunch break, and now as the weather starts to get better outdoors, you're going to get that vitamin D, and which is the happy hormone, and it makes people really, really happy. So the quick wins is make a point of taking a lunch break, even if it's only half an hour. And if someone else controls your diary, ask them not to schedule meetings during your lunch break, and instead, especially when the weather is reasonable, get out, get a walk, and put on your own oxygen mask first and enjoy it. So tip number 5 is to plan ahead. And this again can be a big challenge one when we're looking at food planning. So eating food you've cooked or prepped at home is obviously healthier for us, as we know. It's cheaper, and we can actually burn through €35 in a single day if we're literally grabbing that coffee, croissant, then we go for the second coffee, we have a snack, lunch, and maybe a ready meal on the way home then as well. So it's very easy to spend €35. But the key to fixing this, and obviously saving a lot of cash without a weekly food plan, would be to, think about sitting down and looking at what foods you have and how you can plan. But without planning your time, you won't always make the time to enjoy, say, breakfast or make that lunch. So the thing about planning is that you'll actually have to plan to plan, and you need to put time in the diary to think about what you're going to eat, and then go and shop for it. And never, as you've always heard, don't go shopping when you're hungry, because the wrong things go in the trolley. And ideally it would be, a similar time each week, so it becomes a habit. And generally on a Sunday, I'd like to meal prep, especially when I'm away from home, out and about. I'd probably do an hour on a Sunday and just try and prep things that I can. So the quick wins around this is your challenge is to plan what you will eat for the week. When do you want to do that? When do you, if you, internet shop is probably sometimes stops us getting those treats and the sugary snacks. And make breakfast to take to work, like overnight oats is a fantastic one. One of my Funky 5 smoothies, which I'll share the recipes with as well. And then the last tip that I want to share with you is focusing on getting a good night's sleep. So just in the chat box, how many people would get 6 to 8 hours of sleep? And some questions have come through there. Are harsh sweeteners harsh on the gut? So the xylitol is natural. It's not harsh on the gut at all. There's no chemicals in there. And cups of tea count to water requirements. Your water, your tea, if it's normal tea, there's caffeine in there, which is a diuretic, and can dehydrate you even more. One of the things I like to do with plain water is get a herbal tea bag, maybe some fruits of the forest or one that's natural like that, like a berry herbal tea, and take it, the tea bag, pop it into my bottled water, let it diffuse, and it's like having a Ribena without all the nasties in it. So, okay, basically you are doing good with the sleep, so that's fantastic. So not enough sleep can sabotage our overall health and our wellness. It messes up the stress hormones, and we're all this connection of hormones and energy, and everything is interlinked with everything that we do, and it can become a vicious circle. And that's why we need to unwind. When you wake up in the morning, your cortisol levels are naturally high, and that is the way it's meant to be. But if you're stressed in work or a stressful life, and then maybe in the evening time you start to do stressful exercise, your cortisol level is still high, where when we wake up, it's naturally high and it needs to gradually go down. So by the time we get to 8 or 9 and the body starts to signal, okay, I'm tired now, then it's time to start winding down. Generally, what we do is we start to binge watch our Netflix or that movie or series that has at the edge of the seat with adrenaline, and that cortisol is still really high. So start to be aware of that as well. And the quick wins around our sleep is figure out how much sleep that you actually need to get on a daily basis. And for 1 week, do whatever it takes to ensure that on more nights than not, you get 7 hours. Adjust your bedtime. And I'd always say to people is put your phone on nighttime mode, airplane mode, so you're not getting frequencies beside you, and never charge your phone going to sleep. So anything that's, if you've got a telly in your room, make sure it's switched off completely. It's not on standby, because you don't want these frequencies disturbing your sleep. Another one as well is these glasses that you can wear to knock out the blue light on your laptops and tablets and things like that. So guys, that are my quick hints and tips to help and hopefully, motivate you to start looking after yourself. I have a free 5-day detox challenge. The guys are going to send out a link. It's starting on Thursday. It's a free meal plan. You have access to my app, my Funky 5 smoothies, and I'll coach you for 5 days on how to get it right and how to start getting that zest back for life, basically. My website is www.thequeenofhealth.ie. On social media, you'll find me on the Queen of Health. You can email me if you've got any questions or queries, and my phone number is there. And there'll also be that free download the guys are going to send you out as well, of everything that I've spoken about today is in one little handy ebook for you. So I'll just come back on now. So there's a question there. Any good tips to unwind in the evening as we are working from home? So what I like to do is, generally for me, is just to sit down. As I said, I like to have my cup of tea or my calamine tea, my juice, whatever it is, but I'll find something that maybe it's just to read a book and I'm starting to unwind. Or if I'm going to watch something on telly, I have to make sure that it's not something that's going to increase my cortisol level. So find something, and maybe it's finding a 10-minute meditation or mindfulness just to look after yourself. So guys, again, thank you so much for coming today and listening to me, and hopefully you've got something from today's session, and hopefully I'll see you on one of the free challenges that I do, and maybe over on my social media platforms as well. There's a few private groups there where we share foods and what we're eating and different things. So thank you very much, everybody.